Yeah. Try to, it's to figure out how to get to everybody. Hey, how's your meals? Doing good? Alrighty. So I hope everybody enjoyed their meals and your conversations with the people that brought us all together today. The room is filled with many wonderful donors, and at this time, I would like to further introduce myself and share my donor scholarship experience with everybody. So again, my name is Nicholas Ward, and I am a senior computer information systems and technology student about to graduate this April. I am actually from Bradford, and I have lived here my entire life. I chose to stay in town and attend Pitt-Bradford because of the convenience and the comfort the campus provided me. Being from the area has made Pitt-Bradford an excellent school for me to attend for two reasons. First, I completed almost a year and a half's worth of credits in high school, and that allowed me to graduate early. And second, I have the ability to commute to campus daily to participate in my classes. Pitt-Bradford was an all-around comfortable choice of school for me, and I have really enjoyed my time here as a student. Pitt-Bradford has constantly encouraged me to have the best CIST experience I could. I have worked hard in every class that I have taken to be able to say that I've made the dean's list each semester I've had in my academic career. In addition to my typical courses, this semester I've had the opportunity to work as an intern in the university's Computing, Telecommunications, and Media, or the CTM department. And I've really enjoyed my time in there. I've had a plethora of new skills taught to me, and I have really enjoyed it there so far. And the new George B. Duke Engineering and Information Technologies building has even further enhanced my learning experience this semester. Despite my successes, I have also made mistakes too. In fact, one of my mistakes landed me in a very steep financial situation that was very stressful on both myself and my family. Due to the astonishing kindness of the Gordon family and Dr. Jim Evans, I was able to recover from that mistake, and I'm now able to finish my bachelor's degree this semester and graduate. The generosity of Pitt's donors does not go unnoticed. From myself and all of the other students that have been fortunate enough to receive your aid, thank you for helping us become the amazing students we know we can be and giving us the opportunity to keep attending Pitt-Bradford. We appreciate you. This year's student speaker is Aisha Al-Zubi. Aisha is a non-traditional student majoring in biology. She comes from northern New Jersey, speaks 3 languages, and enjoys the many activities Pitt-Bradford has to offer. After graduation, Aisha plans on taking the MCAT with hopes of becoming an anesthesiologist that finds an effective alternative to opioids. Aisha is the recipient of the Bruce and Beverly Perry Yellow Dog Scholarship. Please welcome Aisha Al-Zubi to the podium.
Welcome, welcome. Good afternoon, and thank you for those able to attend this incredible luncheon so we may honor those who help talented UPB students achieve their dreams year after year. A special thank you to the amazing staff who helped put it all together, especially Mrs. Warner. I know how busy it is nearing the end of the semester, so thank you for executing all of this perfectly. My name is Aisha del Rocio Al-Zubi, and I stand here before you today because I am a Yellow Dog Scholarship recipient created by Mr. Bruce Perry, may he rest in paradise, and his lovely wife, Mrs. Beverly Perry. They established this scholarship specifically for non-traditional students, and although I am sad and I cannot personally thank Mr. Perry, I take comfort in being able to express my deepest gratitude to Mrs. Perry, as well as take comfort in discovering that Mr. Perry and I share the same affinity for international travel, and also he and my father share the same birthday. I am a non-traditional senior at this fine institute. I majored in biology, and during my first years here, I was a part of the Spanish club, biology club, and loved participating in the events held on campus by various clubs. I am currently studying for the MCAT in hopes to get into a great medical school and become an anesthesiologist that specializes in pain management. I dream of traveling the world in search of alternatives to pain relief that isn't inimical to overall recovery. I find it poetic that I get to thank all of the kind-hearted donors here today for their acts of generosity. As privileged and honored that I am to be able to express my gratitude to Mrs. Perry and all other donors, I am here today because of many intricate acts of selflessness. Beginning with my beautiful mother, who, before I was even a thought of conception, chose an egregious journey so that her future children can dream unboundedly. With no knowledge on how to swim, she crossed the deadliest river known to man, El Rio Grande. The arduous journey into the land of the free wasn't over yet. Into a steel box she went, filled with hysteria and creeping death. Just as she was feeling defeated, the truck stopped, the steel box opened, and she felt the warmth of freedom coming from los Estados Unidos on her skin. She was free. My mother pioneered her way to becoming a successful business owner so that my brothers and I could have the opportunities and resources that she didn't have. As a first-generation student, we have that extra desire and drive to want to make our parents exceedingly proud. In high school, I excelled in academia and all social clubs. I was amongst a graduating class of 819 students, where I was class president all 4 years, as well as head manager in 3 different sports, president of other clubs, and graduated in the top 10. I was a first-generation exemplary, to put it mildly. Until I came to this prestigious university, I didn't advance as far as I wanted to, let alone as fast. Although I was able to leave my mark as the first blue and gold pageant winner and start the first Spanish club with a fellow Latino peer, my mental health took a heavy, guilty toll. A hardship that inevitably made me take time off to get better. Unfortunately, that meant the traditional scholarships weren't available when I was ready to return. Truthfully, it was the phenomenal financial aid staff that led me to elect UPB. I was accepted into other great universities, but none of those could compare to the accommodations Pitt-Bradford offers. Between the intimate class sizes, the networking, and the scholarships available for hardworking students, it was a no-brainer. Melissa Ibanez, head of financial aid, is meticulous and gifted. She lessened the burden of how expensive higher education can be, as both a traditional and as a non-traditional student. The relentless staff of the financial aid office, matching students with donor scholarships and all other sorts of aid, make it possible for not just me, but for all students who can seldom afford an education as engaging as the one Pitt-Bradford offers. As a non-traditional student, boy, did I get to see this place grow. Astonishing growth, not just in student body size, but dorms, academic buildings, and the progressiveness of the staff, and campus. I'm kind of jealous I didn't have this UPB when I first started. However, I am beyond thrilled to see this campus keep progressing, progression that will remain ongoing for many years to come because of amazing donors such as yourselves. I know UPB will keep fighting boundaries. When I'm a professional, I will start a scholarship for anybody who needs a second chance. I know I couldn't be here without one. One may never know how far the ripples of their kindness goes, so keep donating, pretty please. As my mommy would say, muchísimas gracias. And as I would say, a million thank yous can only begin to suffice, but my appreciation is an eternal abyss. I thank you all once more for your selflessness. May God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Aisha, for your remarks. Next, I am pleased to introduce this year's donor speakers, Rick and Cheryl Lutz. Rick and Cheryl live in Bradford and are both retired school teachers. Rick retired from the Bradford Area School District after teaching for 32 years, where he taught English and did a stint with the Explorers program. Cheryl was a second grade teacher in the Smethport Area School District for 35 years. She attended Pitt-Bradford from 1969 to 1971 and has also served as a past board member of the Pitt-Bradford Alumni Association. In addition, each spring, Rick and Cheryl enjoy participating in the annual Dinner with the Panther program. Dinner with the Panther is a Pitt-Bradford tradition where alumni and university friends host dinners for current students of similar interest as a way to connect our students to the Pitt network and to provide them with some great advice about life after college. Because of their careers in education and love for Pitt-Bradford, Rick and Cheryl decided to create an endowed scholarship in 2019, the Near and Far Fund. For the last 3 years, the Near and Far Fund has assisted 5 students as they pursue their dream of earning a college degree in education. Then, in 2022, they established the annual Debbie Dodge Memorial Nursing Scholarship to honor the legacy of Cheryl's cousin, Debbie Dodge, and her career as a nurse for 30 years. To date, this scholarship has assisted 5 students who are pursuing a degree in nursing. Please welcome Rick and Cheryl Lutz to the podium.
Good afternoon, everyone. Rick and I are very fortunate to have established 2 scholarships for UPB students, which we will be talking about today. So what was our motivation for these scholarships? Well, I am a lifelong resident of McKean County. I graduated from Bradford Area High School, and I'm very proud to say that I am a Pitt alum. When I attended UPB, however, many years ago, it was only a 2-year school, and as many of you know, it was not the campus that it is today. But we still received an excellent education here. So I had to go to Pittsburgh to finish my degree, and I graduated from main campus. And as Nicholas said, when I returned home, I was hired as an elementary teacher for the Smethport Area School District, a position which I held for 35 years. In that time, 2 of my major accomplishments were marrying Rick and receiving my master's from Edinburgh University. In 2010, John Forstner asked me if I'd like to serve on the alumni board for UPB, and he said that I could just be a member or I could become involved, which would be a much more rewarding experience. While I was on this board, I met many really enthusiastic and dedicated individuals who were truly focused on making this campus the best that it could be. It was during this time that Rick and I had the pleasure of hosting our first Dinner with a Panther. And as of this past Wednesday, we have hosted 9 dinners at our home for 50 students. If you have not had an opportunity to participate in this event, you might want to put it on your bucket list because it is a wonderful way to spend quality time with students in a relaxed atmosphere, and you can learn about their families, their UPB experiences, their hobbies, their goals in life. And they're always so polite, so appreciative, and so gracious. The fact that these students come from so many places always makes us ask the question, so how did you end up in Bradford at UPB? Of course, we get various responses, but one response that is quite consistent is scholarships. These students are actually one of our main reasons for establishing our first scholarship, the Near and Far Fund, which Rick will be discussing. Then in 2022, when my cousin Debbie, a nurse of 30 years, passed away from cancer, Rick and I wanted to honor her memory in a very special way. With the help of Joelle and her colleagues, we established the Debbie Dodge Memorial Nursing Scholarship. She would be so proud and so pleased to know that she is still helping people, which she did throughout her life. I would like to share a letter that we received from one of the recipients of Debbie's scholarship. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Lutz, through the entire 20 years that I have been alive, I have not at any point been independent of others' assistance. Despite this dependence on others, I am finally nearing the end of my education, and I am about to make a drastic change by finally becoming independent and earning a living on my own as a nurse. I have less than a month to go to earning my associates, and then taking the major exam, the NCLEX, which will entitle me a registered nurse. In the course of earning this degree, I have paid tens of thousands of dollars, and even then, I had not been able to work enough back home to cover my tuition. My single mom had not been able to assist either. And frankly, you were the deciding factor whether I would be able to graduate or not. Charles Dickens once wrote, quote, "No one is useless in this world who lightens the burdens of another. And because of you, my burden will be free."
Rick, what time's the dedication? I want to thank Joelle for asking us to speak here. It's very flattering, I think. It's definitely intimidating, especially after browsing through the dozens of scholarships last night on the webpage. Holy smokes, this is a good group. And I do have to mention that I recently talked with a friend who's a longtime faculty member and mentioned that Cheryl and I were asked to do this. And he mentioned Christine and Joelle and the whole philanthropic, I pronounced it right, department as being major assets to UPB. And with all the other options to speak here, and he also said, in a good way, you two were survivors, whatever that means. I think we all know. And considering assets in general, while prepping for these, and Cheryl's afraid I'm going to babble too much, I just want to warn you. While prepping for what I was going to say today, I tried to picture Bradford and the whole area without UPB. Now think about that. It'd be a totally different place. It would not be the same. It wouldn't be the same culturally, economically, socially, aesthetically. It just, it wouldn't be as attractive. And Joelle asked us, whenever she called and asked if we'd speak here, I said, well, what's she want us to talk about? And she said, why we've done what we're doing and how. Well, I think the why sort of resonates for everybody here. And I don't have to go into great lengths about that, but I think Father Galena will appreciate this. And a lot of people might be surprised at this. I'm not really into organized religion much, but I do pray, and it feels good. And my favorite prayer is the prayer of St. Francis, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there's hatred, let me show love. And it goes on with a bunch of antonyms trying to promote the positive. And towards the end, there's a line that speaks for all of us here, I think. For it's in the giving that we truly receive. And I think all of our lives are enriched whenever we realize the consequences of our giving. When I moved to Bradford 50 years ago for an English teaching position at the high school, I never imagined I'd be speaking to such a highly esteemed group. I didn't even know there was a college here. And I certainly did not imagine that a student from one of my early classes would end up being president of the college. You talk about assets. There's a big one. And for the most part, I truly enjoyed my time teaching. And there were many times, especially early on in Midway, whenever I thought, geez, they're paying me to do this? I really enjoyed it. And towards the end of my teaching career, things changed a bit. Can you believe it? They actually wanted lesson plans. lesson plans. I'd gotten by for 25 years winging it, following the curriculum, making notes, but then they wanted lesson plans. And I tried, and I submitted things, but I knew nobody would ever read them anyhow. I don't know why they ever wanted them. And then there were some other red flags. I taught American Lit to juniors towards the end, and one of my favorite novels to teach was Huckleberry Finn. Cheryl's heard this story many times. There are sections of this, and Huck Finn that, and I switched the H and the F. That woke them up. And shortly after that, the district offered a retirement incentive to people like me, and I took it. Cheryl retired a few years later. And at this point, I'm going to plug another of my former high school students and UPB grad. We went to Bill Chapman and the local Ameriprise team, including his sister-in-law, Michelle Chapman, who was a former student of mine as well. He helped us organize our resources together in a remarkable way. And by the way, Bill often mentions that towards the end of his senior year, I pulled him aside in class, after class, and he often tells a story that I told him, Bill, I'm not sure what your plans are after graduation, but I really recommend it does not involve a lot of writing. So Bill focused on numbers, and he's doing pretty well. After we retired, Cheryl, as she mentioned, joined the alumni board, and we heard about Take a Panther to Dinner. And we started having these small groups of kids out that, as she said, I have to agree, they're all just stellar people, cross-section of our culture, inner city kids, suburban kids, kids from different countries, and they were all appreciative. They liked our hot tub, they liked the food. And for us, honestly, because we don't hang with young kids very often, and the people we do hang with are always talking about doctor's appointments and medical issues and all that. So it's kind of refreshing for us to be around young people. And I marked these pages. Let me see if I can find them. We have a thing at our house. Whenever people stay the night, we ask them to sign the book, it's called, and just make a few comments. And usually it's about hunting and fishing or family get-togethers and all that. But Cheryl started, whenever we first did the Panther dinners, having each of the kids just write a few things in our book. And even though they didn't stay the night, it's nice to go back through. And I thought I'd read from some of their entries. We've got a bunch of them. This is from 2011. Dear Rick and Cheryl, thank you so much for inviting us for dinner. Everything was amazing. And I have to preface this with this particular dinner was during Lent on a Friday. And I had a smoker full of meat. And there was one kid, and many of you are going to recognize the name. His parents are from the Philippines. He was based in D.C. And he couldn't eat what we were preparing, but we have a little trout pond on our property. So I said, Lyndon, have you ever caught a fish? No. Well, let's try it, see what happens. So I talked him through it. He caught a trout. I grilled it for him, and he loved it. And the rest of the kids liked what they had. Everything was amazing, from catching the trout, my entree, to eating it. It was great. Your home and hospitality was so definitely inviting, and I definitely appreciated it being so far from home, which is part of the reason why whoever started these Panther dinners, it's a great idea. These kids need to get off of campus. A lot of them don't know you can make a left out of campus onto West Washington Street. I hope you continue inviting students to your home and show them that alumni still care about UPB. Thank you so much. Lyndon Orinian, 2011. He was a good kid. I don't know where he is now, but I'm sure you guys keep track of him. And here's another one. I hope this doesn't offend you because I'm not sure of what your faith is. You two are heaven sent. I pray the Lord keep you, the both of you, in good health for eternity. Thank you for all the students you touch every year. I've been fortunate to be a part of your story and to add you to mine. Thank you for showing me a different aspect of life in Bradford I have not experienced. God bless Nina Zarwi from the Ivory Coast. Well, you get the drift. I could read more and more. There's one here from Boomy, who was, all right, this is Boomy from last year. Dear Cheryl and Rick, thank you so much for opening up your home to us. This has been an amazing experience, and you both exemplify what makes UPB great. Again, thank you. Sincerely, Boomy. Good kid. His parents were from Nigeria. Where am I here? Okay. Just in talking to these kids, as Cheryl mentioned, we ask all the time, how do you end up in Bradford? And number one, a lot of them apply to main campus and they're deferred here, but then they visit our house in their junior and senior year because they could go to main campus after 2 years, but they love it here for the most part. I mean, we don't talk to anybody that goes to main campus, but they really love the setting. The faculty always gets accolades, the support staff, and the other reason is the finances, which has been talked about. And so that's the why. And now I'm going to answer how we do this. We went to Bill, and like probably most of you here, you have something set aside in your will for UPB, and we did. And every month we receive a financial statement from Ameriprise, and there are assets we know we're not going to live to use. So they're just hanging around until we pass, and then it finds a home. So why not be witness to what your assets can help with? And after some discussion, we decided to establish the Near and Far Scholarship. Since we're both teachers, we decided to focus on local people in education, and anybody from another country in any major that applies here is eligible. Bill Chapman helped us set it up. The Bradford Educational Foundation determines how much money is available, and someone, I assume the admittance office, selects the recipient. We started with a lump sum, and we periodically add to it, like when we win the lottery. Anytime a friend or relative passes, which occurs more and more these days, we send a check to the Near and Far. Another asset we've decided to contribute are stocks. Just sitting there. We transfer the stocks to the Near and Far. The foundation deals with them, and it works out okay. And we're both near the age where we're going to be required to take mandatory distributions from our IRAs. We plan to contribute those funds as well. Cheryl and I are not high rollers. We're more Concord and Willows people than Glendorn, for sure. We are blessed enough with the finances to support our lifestyle. And honestly, other than utilities, wine is probably our biggest expense. And I'm getting near the end here, don't get nervous. I know I'm not the only one immensely bothered by current events. I used to be a news junkie. Walter Cronkite was the man, even whenever I was in elementary school. But I can't watch the news anymore. With political polarization, we just saw it last night. School shootings, climate change, war, disease, inequitable distribution of wealth, pollution, race and gender issues, and on and on. It just makes you squirmy. I know I'm not the only one bothered by these current events. And we are convinced that if anybody's going to solve these problems, it will be by the young. So a scholarship or any other donation to a place like UPB, and this is where our hand ended up being dealt, was here, so naturally we're going to invest in UPB. Thanks for your patience, and I just have one other thing to say, if I can find it. Yes, we've got the Near and Far Fund, but anybody can contribute. I brought some forms. If anybody wants a form, it's right here. If we need more, I'm sure Joelle can get copies made. Thanks for your time. You'll have time for the dedication. Wow.
Thank you, Rick and Cheryl, for sharing with us why you chose to establish 2 donor scholarships at Pitt-Bradford. Your generosity, along with the generosity of all the donors in this room and those watching the live stream, have made an impact not only on my education, but the education of so many other students here at Pitt-Bradford. At this time, we would like to recognize all scholarship donors by having them stand. Thank you for believing in the power of donor scholarships. Your thoughtfulness is preparing us to become inspired leaders, critical thinkers, and problem solvers who will make an impact in this world in amazing ways. As I end my remarks, I'd like to acknowledge those who made this luncheon possible. Christy Ruffner and the entire philanthropic and alumni engagement staff, along with Mets and conference services. I'd also like to thank our Blue and Gold Society students. Today, we are not only celebrating the impact of donor scholarships, but also the dedication of our newest academic building, the George B. Duke Engineering and Information Technologies Building. If you are able to join us for the dedication, the ceremony will begin at 3 p.m. in the lobby of the Duke Building, followed by a ribbon cutting and tours. Today truly is a day of celebration at Pitt-Bradford. Thank you for being a part of it, and I hope you have a nice day and a wonderful weekend. Thank you for being here.